Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wimborne Minster. Absolutely gorgeous here today, and I'm here with Paula, and we've been having some really nice chats this week. And on that theme, this morning, we are going to talk about having conversations, about actually talking to people.
We are.
We are.
Having somebody that you can talk to when you're suffering with stress and anxiety is absolutely imperative. Now, we do have some issues because other people don't know what to say. So if I came to you and said, "Oh, Sandy, I can't cope, I'm full of anxiety," luckily you do know what to say, but there's many people that would go, "Oh, well, how are you?" And that's the worst thing possible. So if somebody does come to you and sort of say, "Look, I'm really struggling with stress and anxiety," ask them how they're feeling, how their day went. Just try and think of different ways to approach it rather than just saying, "How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay?" Because it's quite a closed question. So just try and think of something that's going to be a bit broader. Ask about their family or their pets or their children or their job or something else that you know about them to get them to start talking.
Do you think that some people might feel that's quite staged? I think my sort of, not standard response, but a response that I would use, again, working a long time with bus drivers, they'd come in, blah, 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 and I'd say, "Okay, well, what's up, chap?" And just kind of just open the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be, and we've said it before in these, it's got to be appropriate for that person.
Yes.
One size does not fit all. And the environment that you were in and the people that you were talking to, that would work so well, so well. But maybe if you were in a solicitor's or a doctor's or somewhere in a big office block, that might not work for that person.
Absolutely.
So if it is in a work environment, then it's quite easy to go into that flow. But it's got to be appropriate for that person. If it's a friend, then you know them well. If it's a family member, you know them well. But if it's somebody that is on the surface of that friendship group, or if it's somebody that you work with, it is a little bit more tricky. But you have got to trust that person.
That's the thing. Lex and I were talking the other week about our piglets. I know who my piglet is, Morning Sarah, and we'll have those people in our lives.
Absolutely.
So they are really good sounding boards. And in my experience, sometimes just being able to talk about how you're feeling or how I'm feeling, not looking for a solution, not looking for that person to be able to say to me, "Sandy, you need to do this or you need to do that," but just actually having somebody sit and listen. I think there's a lot to be said for that old saying, "A problem shared is a problem halved."
100%, yeah.
So sometimes it's just about being allowed to speak without somebody. But then the other end of that is when we look for somebody like yourself, a counsellor, a therapist, to help us work through those problems and to have a solution at the end. But again, it's not always possible to find the right person at the first time.
No, there are hundreds and hundreds of different types of therapy and different types of therapists. I like to call myself somebody who's going to help change your mindset, because I can do CBT, NLP, all talking therapies, mindfulness.
Sorry, the acronyms, CBT, NLP.
NLP, neuralistic programming.
Okay.
Cognitive behaviour therapy.
Okay.
Talking therapy, mindfulness, and that's just a few. But the main thing is having somebody that you can go and talk to, that understands, that's non-judgmental, that's got an open mind, because as a therapist or a practitioner, whatever you want to call me, I hear some really interesting conversations, as you can imagine, but you can't have an opinion. You've got to help that person through it. But the difference of what I do is I give techniques that you can use for the rest of your life. Very practical. I've listened to you guys before, and it's not fluffy. I can be fluffy if somebody needs that, but it's about practicality. It's about getting your life back on track. And we talked before about stress and anxiety can be overcome. You just need the right pointers and the right techniques that you can use then for the rest of your life to get you to where you need to be. So start by talking to somebody, and if that person feels that they can't do any more for you, then go and find the right person, the right type of therapy, the right type of therapist to make sure that you're going along the right road.
And I think the other thing to remember is as well that sometimes a lot of people aren't particularly good at articulating, not particularly good at saying exactly how they feel. And I have this thing in my head that sometimes if you can't find the right words, the best thing to do is to just like allow the words to flow and then kind of sort it all out afterwards. A little bit like throwing a deck of cards up in the air.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then sort of putting them all back together in their decks.
Yeah.
Because sometimes just to get it off your chest, even if it doesn't appear to make sense, can make you feel better and also give somebody that's properly trained the understanding that they need to start unpicking and know where to start helping.
It's really interesting actually, because sometimes when I start a conversation with a new client and they come in and they tell me all these things, they think that the one issue that they've actually got at that minute is their problem. But actually, if you can listen and listen well, you find out that it's not that one thing. It can be something that may have happened 10 years ago and they've never dealt with it. So it is going to the right therapist that can listen and can understand and pick through all the problems. That's really important.
Brilliant, thank you. And just to let you know that in the weeks to come, we are going to have another week with Paula, hopefully talking about the different types of therapy and therapists, and busting some of the myths on some of their long names and acronyms.
Yes.
So keep your eyes open for that. Thank you.